Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 489, probably. Today is Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, and I'm glad you could join me today. It's like, did I check YouTube? Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, it'll also be interesting to see if there are any differences. So context is I am using a new computer. It looks good from here. We'll find out how loud or not it is later, I suppose. Um, so it's been quite a long time since I've been able to podcast last. I was away for 5 weeks. I think other stuff happened, so this is the first weekend that I'm back home since the second week of June, so it's fine. Quite a lot has happened, so there is lots to share this week. And the first thing that I should probably share is the sweater that I'm wearing. So I was able to finish my rocket tee while I was away. So this is a Tanis Lavalley pattern that I knit out of Hillersvåg Solje, and then gold number 4 in 5 different naturally dyed shades. So the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about, so I did end up washing and blocking this last night. Things went pretty smoothly, all things considered. But yeah. So the only thing I pinned down was the bottom ribbing. And it is still flipping up. So maybe this would have been a case where the prescribed, I don't know, I really love how the ribbing looks and lays on the sleeves and the neckline. I don't know why the bottom ribbing is being annoying. But the pattern calls for I-cord, so it's not the designer's fault. So the only thing I can think of is that maybe 10 rows of ribbing wasn't enough for the bottom. But also, I'm not sure what I would do to change that either. It does seem like the finer, softer yarn is not tough enough to bully the robust um, dark blue yarn. So, would it be? And I did manage to weave in all of the ends. Like, can we see? They're they are all sorted. So, not too crazy. I was a little bit worried that the fit was going to be strange because my row gauge was way off, and so the armpits ended up higher than maybe I would have intended. But this seems fine. It looks good. Um, is the Norwegian wool pretty fierce? Yes. In some ways, maybe this wasn't the ideal summer tea yarn. But whatever. It was worth a shot. I am super happy with how it's turned out and how it's looking. And we'll see how it fits into the rotation. I figure it's It's a pretty good one, all things considered. Um, so that one is done. The other thing that I finished was the other project I had been working on before leaving, though this guy is still a little bit wet, so we'll just rotate the computer. Ooh, ah. So what you are looking at here is my 22.5 degree brioche, double brioche. Of course, I accidentally hit the record stop button while doing that. So we'll try it again. Rotate, lift, ooh, ah. So it's blocking. I I started that one first. Um, but whatever. That is my own design more or less. I took it chart for peacock feathers and then put my own shaping on it and changed all the stitch counts to be double brioche instead of single brioche. And what would it be? I think I managed to, yeah. So I think I managed to get it to like 5.5 feet length. Um, I did actually just sort of want to be pretty wide. Um, so it's done. Um, I ended up binding off in a very small amount of a different color, which maybe wasn't necessary because I did have some tails here, but whatever. So I still need to weave in the ends on this one, but I will have a charming matching hat and scarf. So should be good. I think that this will be a lot of fun. Would it be? I can do it slouchy or folded brim. I think I do like when the brim is folded, so that just tends to be the way I like to wear hats. So we have finished, mostly finished that. So I have a very small amount of the Amculton Polar left, because I ended up using the Verexed and Verruckt, I believe. I think so. And then it was also funny because it found out that Wilmisa is discontinuing their merino cashmere nylon blend called Blend. So even if I liked it, it would be hard to get more. So it does. I think it's the case with them where they have their main three bases and other ones just make brief guest appearances. But it was lovely. It was lovely to work with. Happy with the object. Maybe I just have to be real that I will not publish designs. I'll just make things for myself. But I am pretty proud that I worked through all of the different details on that one. So I'll have to maybe with ends woven in wear for the whole ensemble next time. We'll see how things go. Ah, so that so now we've talked about the two of my long-standing projects that are now done. I did have some mending that I was able to complete. What I did was I had a Ziploc bag that I put 4 projects in that needed mending because I figured that would be a good way to make sure that it all got done. So I was able to, eh, oops, I was able to take out the cast off on the sock, um, redo it, and then this one was fine. So my magic mirror socks are back to fighting force again. Um, so the bind off edge of this had come apart, so that is another item which can count towards Stash Dash Glory, along with, I don't know, I need to do a decent amount of calculation. um, Probably involves putting all yarn on the scale and figuring out from there. But so these socks are done and can probably be washed. I'm laughing at myself a little bit because since I was washing stuff last night, I had stuff that I didn't have time to wash last time. Oh well, I think I need a lot of space for the other one, so maybe it's fine. The other thing that I ended up finishing on the mending front, I can extract it from the bag, was I did end up mending the hat. So I saved like a little bit of yarn from the matching sweater that sadly wasn't really in usable shape anymore, and then I used it to mend this hat with the same yarn. So not too crazy there. So another item all ready for use again. And then what I ended up bringing with me on the trip but did not finish. So what we have going on here is I've repaired 2 of 3 fingers on this guy. And looks like I have it off but haven't yet joined on the new yarn. And then looking at that, it's pretty solid. So I was just getting ready in order to redo the bind off on this thumb. So these are fingerless mitts that I knit like 13 years ago. And I have needed to do like a little bit of repair on them. It definitely feels like one of these, whatever. So I was just sort of going through and making sure that I was back to good strong yarn, and then I'll reknit them. But it does look like my ring finger is a little bit different than the others. Whatever, it's fine. So these normally live in my coat, and then I'll put them on if I need them. In contrast to my spouse's fingerless gloves, which I did consult with a whole bunch of people on. And really, I think it just goes down to what sort of pain I want to have, basically. Um, so, um, so I do have, it looks like there's like a couple of different ways that this one was weird. So, I had the black fingering weight sock yarn. This is a light fingering merino cashmere silk. And so it'd be the case where I just had to decide if I was reknitting all the fingers or not, or repairing it. I didn't end up bringing extra of the merino cashmere silk yarn. It's really nice. And then I was entertained because apparently the bottom edge had worn out on this one. So I will need to finish fixing them some point soon. But we'll get this one done first, and then I think I have some to repair on this guy too. Yeah. So I will sort of go through and make sure I've caught that I've found everything or every finger that needs to be repaired now and get that taken care of. Yeah, it does look like that one's getting pretty thin. Like, really, like, it's just like that the cast-off edge mechanically abrades away. Yeah, we'll have to do the thumb for sure on this one, and then the ring finger broke, and I'll have to decide if I need to do, I think I do, yeah, and I will need to do the middle finger as well. I think it looks like maybe I have redone the pointer finger, and the pinky finger is looking good right now. So I have like 3 fingers I need to still do on this one. I've been carrying it around in my bag, but it may be the case where it just needs to be my only project, at least for a little bit, in order to finish it. So I do have mending, which is more intense. Um, but I didn't want to deal with that today, or whatever. Doesn't matter. Um, what would it be? I have mending that is more intense that I need to decide if it's even worth keeping some of the things. Or doing like an entirely different type of mending. I don't know. We'll see. So, good to know I got like a couple of things wrapped up. Um, so it has, or would it be? So, what that meant was that I was able to start a project. Of course, I am, I guess, near the end of the row. What? Near the beginning of a row? Yeah, whatever, it's fine. So, I ended up starting my Go-Go Dynamo. So that's a Stephen West pattern. It was the most recent mystery knit along. I had originally intended to knit it with my Maiden Swish handspun, and so I ended up picking 2 potential contrast yarns out of like a merino silk blend from Fiber Optic. However, the handspun didn't want to be this shawl. I don't know, or whatever. It maybe would have been fine, but it's okay. Also, like, it definitely involves making lots of yarn breaks, certainly in like the first couple sections, so it's probably fine. So I have done quite a few sections already. So um, there is semicircles, and you make a couple of those. And then after you make your semicircles, you join them together with garter. Um, and then I navigated through the bubbles. I recently noticed that I had somehow dropped a stitch in a bubble area. um, but I was able to drop down and fix it, so or would it be? I fudged it when my stitch count was wrong, and perhaps that should have been a moment of introspection. um, and now I am doing a brioche section. And so or also the case where in the brioche section you can add a fluffy yarn. And so you have whatever, there's a couple of different choices available. And So the blue and gray yarn is fiber optic, I think, in Midnight and Dolphin. And then I decided to add a Surrey silk, which came from Dust to Dawn fibers that I picked up last year at SSK at Bliss Yarn. So it was the exclusive colorway. Whatever. And so it is like I figured the yarn was like a really nice complement. So it has like a light blue and some brown and white in it, and coordinates very nicely with the blue and the gray. I'm also very impressed with how much yarn I've knit up into this. So this is supposed to be a 4 shawl behemoth. um, and then it's also been interesting because are you're actually starting like in the middle of the shawl as you're knitting it. So that is also interesting as well. So um, I am still on the growing part of the shawl for a while, and I suppose I don't know, would it be there's still quite a lot of knitting to go. Um, but it is a very graphic design. I won't say that it's as fun to knit as Exploration Station. that that is definitely um, was my favorite Stephen West shawl to knit for sure. But I am happy with the product, and now that I'm sort of in the normal construction part of it, I'm not too worried about what's going on. Um, Definitely much more manageable this way. So, um, I am holding the Surrey with the gray yarn. Um, and I will say, um, what would it be? It is making for pretty thick fabric because I decided on the fly that I wanted to add this yarn in. Um, but it's okay. And then it will be the case where, so I have to laugh a little bit because I probably only needed like 25 grams. And I have 100 grams of this one, but whatever, it's fine. But it was the case where I was wondering if I wanted to use my Bay Area yarn crawl skein. But uh, let's see. Any other things I want to say about this? Would it be? So it was maybe a little bit crazy making when I was doing working on like the garter stripe section. Um, and that is because I definitely needed to just like I would knit the whole thing, reach the end, realize I had started wrong or done some sort of mistake and then need to like redo the whole thing. So I would make a lot of progress on a section and then find out that I needed to rip it all out and start again. Um, but I think I got most of the work, or I've done most of the stuff on this. What it because we ended up doing like a pretty long road trip during the vacation. So, but maybe that was all. Maybe I spent a long time knitting and then ripped it all back. We don't know. So I um I have like a few more sections to go before I start the border. Um and then after I finish like the knit on border, then I will go back and knit up the neckline. So, because whatever, these really graphic sections are actually the very middle of the shawl. So, interesting construction. Would it be? I can definitely see why. I can definitely see why it was set up. Or would it be? I can see why you wouldn't be able to have knit it this way. Um, or the way that it was constructed, like I don't think I could have reverse engineered a way of not needing to do it. I don't know. It would have been challenging. So, um, but it's also, I would say, very strange at the or whatever, because when you start, you're just like, whatever, and you have some pretty small sections that you're working with. But now that everything was like joined together, um, like this is big shawl. um, like I have this on my largest cable, and it it could take up more room. So definitely it's definitely going to be a very large object when it's done. Um, and I am like really happy that I had this Surrey yarn in my stash. I don't think like I had bought it knowing that it would probably be incorporated in a shawl, but I did not buy it knowing it would be incorporated into this shawl. So there's that. Um, but I'm really quite pleased. And honestly, like, um, is making me wonder if I had wanted the MC and CC swapped, but it's okay. Um, but it is like a little, whatever, it is like a little bit challenging with the yarn management at the moment. Um, but I am really loving how it's looking or how incorporating the Surrey looks on the wrong side. So I would say, and that tends to be pretty typical, is with brioche. Um, like it really pops pretty nicely when it's lighter. But I would say that this is also very pretty as well. So you can see how it's like just bringing in like a little touch of hand dye or whatever, or like the blue and gray are pretty solid, all things considered. So hand dyed, but fairly solid. It's really nice to have like the variegated Surrey in there too. I think it adds a lot of beauty to the shawl. And I'll have to see where else I'm like incorporating it. So I just ended up winding um, one one of the 50-gram balls because I'm pretty sure won't be I won't be using it all. So fluffy. Ah, see, I wasn't even able to finish it. Um, so at some point I will end up um needing to incorporate the other two balls, but at least for now, it's just hanging out there that might grow out of that project bag fairly soon. This is a big shawl, so I'll have to figure out what bag I move it to. So the other item that I was getting a start on is a swatch. So um, this is yarn that I ended up picking up in London at Wild and Woolly, whereas this was yarn that I had picked up in London at Knit with Attitude. My San Francisco knitting group is doing summer top knit along, and so Rocket was the first one that we were doing, and then Vicinity is the second one. So this is by our friend Ksenia Nadayan. So she's in the group. She designs under the name Life is Cozy. And I am just actually working through like a stripe sequence just to make sure that I like how my colors are working out and um, trying out the pattern stitches and making sure I know what's going on. And what's interesting, or would it be? It would be the case where there is like an interesting detail about the bottom ribbing. So just working through that. And I don't know if I would end up, or would it be? I don't know. Like I probably shouldn't knit the full. Probably shouldn't knit the full sequence. um, but it was the case where I'm like, well, would I like a different color to be more prominent? um, would it be? I think it's only because I don't know, and maybe it's just the case where some of the prominence has more to do with like how different something is from each other or not. So um so the dealio is that, or would it be? So it'd be the case where I'm swatching right now using the recommended needle. Um, I have my 3 balls of yarn. I'm working from my 3 balls of yarn. I won't keep the swatch more than likely. Um, I will have to figure out like roughly what size I'm knitting. And then the other thing that I'm trying to figure out right now um, is like how close I am to get engaged. Um, so, but it is the case where this is a stripy sweater that is, so this is a stripy sweater that is knit side to side. And so after having my row gauge be very far off on the sweater, like there are things you can do, or she has like a whole section at the back of her pattern explaining how to modify it if you're not hitting row gauge, but I would at the very least like to be in the ballpark. So so this is Studio Donegal in a hot pink, a navy blue, and a teal. So all of them are Tweety, but the hot pink one is much more subtle. Um, so there's definitely bits which are leaning like a little bit more light purple and orange in it. And then for whatever reason, I don't know. So the tweetiness is pretty subtle, sort of in the knitting of itself. And the only reason why I'm like, huh, is just like Like, I do really like the teal, and it's not very prominent right now. I don't know if you see more of the tweediness on the wrong side, but um, so that is where we're at right now. So I had started with some garter and then transitioned to the ribbing. Um, and I would say the ribbing requested isn't too obnoxious. And then I'm just practicing carrying the yarn up and making sure that that is okay. And I would say, yeah, that's fine. Um, so not too crazy there. Nice hand on the yarn. So I think I am liking the fabric that I'm making with this needle, so I just need to check in and see if that's close or not. And I suppose it would be nice if the rope gauge was closer, because I feel like with this pattern it's much easier to chain, or would it be the case where um I'll just have to, I think I have to check in a decent amount. um so I haven't ever done like a side to side knit garment before. um yeah, so I think the only things I need to decide at this point is if I want to um do a different color order, um like swap teal and pink, probably, if I was to take a guess. Like, I think it is I think the stripe sequence that's provided is like a seven stripe thing and then repeats again, so it looks random but isn't. And I only know this because one of the other women in my knitting group is knitting it with 7 colors. um, so any other number would have resulted in things being more random. Um, yeah, so it would be the case where it's definitely a scenario where I have one neutral and 2 bolds, and like it does look nice. So, um, but I don't know. I'll have to. I may just have to pull up a spreadsheet of some sort and just look and see how I feel. um, like basically a spreadsheet, swatch it instead. So not too crazy. Um, yeah, and then what would it be? So we'll see if I'm close. We'll have to wash it. Um, see if it changes, and then go from there. So, I probably won't um, really get started on this one until I get my 2 remaining mending items done, but at the very least I wanted to swatch and get a sense for things. So, Cinetop by Life is Cozy, Yesenia Nadan, in Studio Donegal. Okay, so there hasn't been um, a ton of spinning in the last few weeks. I decided not to take a spindle project with me. And then it was the case where oops, we're finding all sorts of exciting things in here. All right. But I did end up taking a spinning class. I just need to figure out where the sample went. And maybe it is here. Maybe. So I ended up taking a class with Heavenly Bresner, and I forgot to bring a braid, so luckily the person I was sitting next to did have one. So this is like Allegheny Fiberworks, and it has like bright green, a magenta, and then a blue leaning gray. So, um, and the idea behind the class was to um, like figure out how to use a color wheel in order to make the yarn that you would like. And so it would be the case where we were able to take our braids of fiber. Everyone had something different. We were able to play around with it a little bit with respect to figuring out, all right, like that gray is actually like a blue cyan. And other fun things, figuring out like how those play into each other. So the violet and the yellow green are on opposite ends, and then the blue cyan is over here. So it was just a case of trying to figure out, do we want to combine all these together? What's going to happen when we do? Um, what sort of objects could you make with it? And now we're just going to proceed to empty out the entire bag to find the sample. Maybe. Maybe. Maybe the samples are in here. So, we didn't get like a ton of spinning time in the class. Here we go. No longer lost. But effectively speaking, see, we even have the tag, so it's Corydale. Mountain Awakening. Allegheny Fiber. So the short answer was we I ended up doing sort of two different gradients here. So one of them went from the gray blue to the magenta, and then I did another one that went from that gray blue to the bright green. And then I also did one where I ended up combo drafting the blue and the gray together. And so I think the short answer is with that particular braid, omitting one of the colors could make for a much more harmonious yarn. It would be the case where a lot of people had like more analogous sorts of things in the class. So what that meant was like they would have like a scenario where they would have like 3 colors in a row or something like that. So much easier to make gradients and stuff like that. So I'll keep the color wheel. Definitely something to think of. Probably a couple of things it was like being able to identify what your grays really are and what color they lean towards, and browns as well. The other thing was just thinking about like future projects that I have planned and um, like knowing would it be that like I'd be thinking about um, like what sort of color combos that I would be making for that. So that would be the story there. So it may be the case where you end up deciding to do something where you have um, like the cyan, the blue, and the blue cyan, then adding in orange to make it fun or something like that. And then I probably wouldn't end up maybe rotating that way. Or if you, yeah. So I think that would be sort of the color story that I would be going for along those lines. And just figuring out if you're looking at or whatever, like what sort of things you're creating. And then what is also nice about this was a CMYK guy. So the die that I have is that way too. So not or so I have so much fiber left over because these are just really, really small little samples. But I think the short answer is sort of like sampling and playing with these guys. Um, like I do really like this combo drafted guy, and maybe I can make that easier by using the drum carder to create. And then I also have some more fiber to play and mix in to like attempt to add color and maybe create some of the other items on the wheel. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Um, the other class that I ended up taking was a short row class with Romy Hill. Um, and what was really cool about that class was I finally figured out how to make the pearl part of the short row look right. So, and this is probably the single most unforgiving yarn ever. So this is Kotlin. I just picked up some yarn from the Free to a Good Home table. Um, and like there's just like there's like a couple of spots where you're like, all right, that is like a smidge wobbly, but both sides look great and smooth and perfect. And so apparently what I had been missing was when working the stitch on the purl side, I needed to purl through the back loop. And that was not what I had been doing. And the only one where that isn't the case is German short rows. You can just purl. But if you drop a German short row, you have to purl through the back loop. But what it be? So we ended up learning about wrap and turn, Japanese Sunday, and German short rows. And so I've very recently done Sunday short rows because they were in the Carol Sunday pattern I was knitting. Um, and would it be the Japanese and Sunday are fairly similar to each other. Um, they have a similar operating principle, um, but I think that this looks super duper good, and these are actually all four types perfectly hidden. in there. So, um, very exciting. And then I just did like a quick little bind off and went along my way. So, really, really happy that I got that figured out because it had been annoying me for quite some time. Bury the body in the back. It's like do whatever you need to do to take that wrap stitch and keep it on the back side of the work. That's all. So that was really lovely. Um, and then um, what is it? The last thing I wanted to talk about was what I won or bought at SSK, and actually, and then received as well. So, um, what would it be? So, what I ended up winning and was so excited about is I finally won one of the rainbow dish towels from Little Hip Kitty. So, so excited about that. If if they had pulled my name as many times that I had put in tickets, I would have three instead of one, but we were spreading them around. So this is just so pretty and so cool. And I suppose very apt with me wearing my 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 painbow sweater. So that was super duper exciting. Um, that was the only thing that I ended up winning. Um, this is the goodie bag fiber, so this is from Cesium Yarn, and it is Shiniko top, so non-superwash Shiniko. And would it be very, very pretty colorway? So that should be a lot of fun to spin. It definitely would it be? It definitely has a very nice bounce to it. So colorway is for the culture. Um, and then would it be? I think there were like a couple of things that were inspiring for me. Um, when I went to Modern Daily Knitting, they of course have like all of their samples out from their field guides. And so the previous year I had gotten the field guide in order to make um a Hohi Locatelli sweater. And then I decided this year to get the yarn that I would want to make the Hohi Locatelli sweater out of. So, um, of course, I'm blanking blanking on the name, but it's okay because um, I put it somewhere very obvious. All right, we're good. We put it in the queue nice and easy. Of course, it isn't quite where I want to be in the queue. It's okay. So, oh, this is actually funny because that would mean that there's more than one. So, so I wanted to knit the Grace Notes. So, in this one, it's the case where um, I tried on the sample. The sample was fabulous. The sample they had was light blue. So I ended up getting more of the Lola Bean Yarn Co. in La Playa. I had knit something with this yarn last year. It actually like held it double, so it has like a little bit of fun speckle, but then it's mostly blue, so I think it would look really nice in this pattern. This one is a little bit of a lighter yarn, so it would be the case where Atlas is sort of that worsted to yarn sort of weight, but I think that this should work really nicely for it. So, sweater quantity there. So samples sold me twice. And then after being in Romy's class, I got to see her version of Leaves in a Stream. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that sample's so gorgeous, and it's an opportunity to practice short rows. And so what I ended up getting in market were two gradients. One of them is Flamingos, and the other one is Perseus. And so I'd be making like a pink and teal one of those. So I thought that was gonna be a really nice project. The sample was so gorgeous. It was really hard. Or I knew that I definitely wanted to get that. And then in other Hohi news, I decided to get yarn for a lace and fade boxy. So I got to try on a sample. And so I picked up from Lavender Loom this alpaca merino cotton fluff. And so then this one is called Movement. So big old 100 grams of fluff right there. And then the fade part of it is in this gray gradient. So this one is Pegasus. So like it doesn't go super duper light, but like I got this one, and then we looked at every single gradient we could until we figured out which one was going to go. So I thought that one was super duper lovely. I picked up yarn for a small shawl, so I got some old rusted chair. So I have like a little mini, so 20-gram mini, spellbound, and then crystalline is the variegated one. So this one is for like a specific shawl design, and then just brings in a little bit of the nice teal. And in the continuing theme of I would like more summer tops. I picked up 3 skeins of this. So this is 65% silk, 35% linen. So this one is Suncatcher, and these two are Erica. So once again, a little bit more pink and teal. Maybe a little bit surprising that I went with would it be with some more lighter colors, but it was just so gorgeous. I was like, oh yeah, definitely another thing which wanted to be a sweater. And then I ended up picking up a new Fat Squirrel bag, so I ended up getting her new style, which is a drawstring style, and I don't think she had this last year. So bright pink interior. Unfortunately, no handy dandy pockets, but that should be fine. And then it had bears. So, would it be? So should be good. I'm excited about that. And then the last thing I ended up picking up, I ended up getting from Fandom and Fibers, and so I got a new needle holder. and hopefully this one lasts a lot longer because it has um, metal hardware instead of plastic. And so it comes with two darning needles, and then I'll be putting the rest of my needles in there. And that just needs to live in my bag. And then I thought that this was so funny because I wanted to buy this at Modern Daily Knitting, but I did get a new quick gauge. So previously the one that I had was an Ann Budd one. We can, I'll have to, I'll have to figure out how to get the plastic off of it. Well, it is plastic, but the film off of the plastic. Because that's on the wrong side. So this is another guide which you can use in order to get gauge measurements without too much pain. And then it definitely has enough, it definitely has enough items that we can take like a quick look. So, for example, the sweater that I'm trying to knit right now is targeted to be like the 6.5. And I don't think that's where I'm at right now. I'm probably closer to 7 right now. Closer to 28 rather than that. And then I don't know what it be. Unfortunately, this one maybe doesn't have as good. I don't think that this guy has as good a thing in place for also checking row gauge, but I really did need something that would work for stitch gauge, so that's okay. That was what was really needed. Alright, are we close to peeling off the film? Maybe. Who knows? So, would it be? But, it was always so much fun to go to SSK. I might have taken some battle damage on the water slide. I'm gonna have to do a lot of foam rolling. um, but it was a lot of fun. It was great to spend a lot of time with my parents. I got to also visit my grandparents for an afternoon, so that was also really good. We had so many milestones while we were there. So my daughter started crawling. My son is what would it be? More potty trained than he was before. um, my daughter is sitting and crawling and eating solid food, so we managed to do quite a lot of stuff while we were there. And yeah, was just a wonderful time all around. I'm not, or would it be? I'm not sure if it's gonna happen next year. So I'll have to figure out what we're going to do, or if we'll have slightly different plans um for next year. Um, like it sounded a little bit like Laura needed to make sure that she had time to work on her book. Which is fair. All right. Clear film. Clear film removed. So, not too bad. So, um, would it be? Hopefully, it will be possible to record again in 2 weeks. If not, it'll be 3. But this week's episode was quite big, so no big deal. And with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Take care, guys. Bye bye.